Hey guys, today's video is going to be super exciting. I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be making my own GIFs in Procreate. I'm not exactly sure how to do all of this, so I looked up tutorials on how to do it, and this is the first time I'm going to be doing it. First off, I wanted to say thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. I've wanted to work with them for such a long time, so I'm really excited to be partnering up with them right now. HelloFresh really works well for my lifestyle since I do live alone and I am a work from home artist. I really do enjoy cooking, but sometimes I don't have time to meal prep or go to the grocery store to get ingredients for the week. HelloFresh offers so many recipes to choose from each week, and they include low-calorie, vegetarian, and family-friendly recipes every week. You can get 2 or 4 portions or more depending on your preferences, and with that you get the flexibility to easily change delivery days, food preferences, to skip a week if you don't want it that week, or to include extra proteins or sides to your weekly order. So the HelloFresh box for me is perfect since it does come with 2 servings per recipe, so I can have my meal and then eat the rest later in the day or the next day. And if you're like me and you're thinking it sounds really good but it's more wasteful than just buying regular groceries, HelloFresh's carbon footprint is 25% lower than store-bought grocery-made meals since they directly source their food from growers, and their packaging is almost made entirely from recyclable or already recycled content. So if you're interested in checking out HelloFresh, I will have the code SarahTepes80 to get 80% off, including free shipping on the first box. Additional restrictions apply. You can go to hellofresh.com for more details, and it's going to be down in the description at the top. So as you might know, Office Max is closing. They're having a lot of sales, so I naturally popped in to just see what was good, if I could get any office supplies, and I randomly picked up a composition notebook. And just a really random tip is that if you have like stage fright trying out new sketchbooks or using new notebooks, or it's not very easy for you to put down your thoughts on paper and to sketch easily, like quickly and effortlessly, I would definitely recommend getting a very cheap notebook. Composition notebooks are lined, but I regularly use them for sketching out ideas and brain dumps and coming up with solutions. Like for my work, I find really cheap notebooks and sketchbooks really useful for my growth and for just being able to organize things, to put down my ideas, and to like take clutter out of my mind by putting down my ideas on paper. So the reason I want to make some GIFs is because I constantly use them on stories, especially like swipe up links. That's the one I use the most. But I have never found a GIF that is really very on brand with my own personal brand. So I think it would be really interesting to make a bunch of GIFs that were in my style that you guys could use obviously as well. They're not just like exclusive to me, but I'm really excited to have a more cohesive look to my stories, and just also I could use them in YouTube videos. And I really like learning how to do new things, so I thought this would be really fun to learn how to do like a little bit of animation and to make. First off, I brainstormed and I thought which GIFs would I benefit from most, and also which ones would you guys use the most. And I wrote down a couple of ideas and then sketched out concepts for how I could execute them. My very first one was to make a new post GIF because I don't use them very often, but a lot of people use them, and I don't often repost my posts to my story to share, but it is a good habit to have and it gets a little bit more exposure. My next one is the swipe up. That's the one I use the most. Then pointing arrow, very basic, but if I'm making a little collection of GIFs, it would be an easy one to add that would also be in the same style. I also am going to make a little thank you because I think that's fun. And then one that I do really want to make is a link in bio. I've never really used a link in bio GIF, but I often say link in bio. They're not going to be very complex except for the swipe up link, which I'm going to be making a hand that does this, like it's like pointing like that. So we'll see if my anatomy and 2D design actually works out well, but hopefully that one is good. And then I also added a little tiny plant one that doesn't have any words. I just thought it might be cute if you're showing your workspace or you're going to buy plants, that kind of thing, to go to a nursery. It could just be a cute little addition. And then the last one is a little mail time GIF, which I wanted to be a little envelope that's opening. I also wanted to say I was inspired with this idea by Lee Ellickson and Fairy Little Peach. I think that they made some really cute GIFs, and I was like, maybe I can make my own. So I recommend you check them out. I'll have their accounts listed down in the description because they really inspired me and I thought they were really cute. You should follow them. But let's get into the whole process of me transferring these into Procreate, tracing over them, and then making them into GIFs. So these are all my sketches that I'm going to be referencing for the GIFs. I already made this one and this one because I didn't want to just start off telling you what to do making GIFs if I had no idea what I was doing, but they're probably the two most simplest ones that I'm going to be making. And the link in bio should be simple as well. Mail time, this little flap will open, and then the feet are just gonna like do that. Nothing really intense. Swipe up is probably the most intense. It's going to do this. So I want the hand to make this motion. So we'll see on this one how this one works out. This was just a random drawing that I didn't want to use for the GIFs, but oh, and I needed to make the arrow too. I forgot about that one. So this is the first GIF that I made, and then I also made this one. I think I changed the little stars to be white, but that's what I have so far. So when I go to the little export, I export as an animated GIF, and I set it down to 6 seconds, web ready. And that's what the GIF looks like. So by now, I really like it. The only thing that I don't, I have to change that. Whenever I design anything in Procreate, I like to take it into Lightroom to apply color grading presets to it, the same way that I would to any photo that I take. You know, the way you do a photo, you post on Instagram, you add a color grading like, preset to it. So I don't think I can take like an animated GIF into Lightroom to edit it, which is fine, but that means if I want that same effect, I have to export each individual frame as a PNG, take it into Lightroom, color grade it, export it, take it back into Procreate, and put it together into a GIF. So that makes the process longer, but I think it's worth it because I do want them all to be like nice and warm and cohesive in color. And just similar to my style. So I think I'll do it, but it'll take a lot longer. So I went into Lightroom and I added this filter, this one that I made that I use for actual photos, like that. I got a couple of comments on one of my videos saying that if I didn't want to show my Lightroom process that I was like cheating, that I was adding like these magical filters or something, and I just wanted to say it's like the kind of filter you put on a photo or or you know, on an Instagram post, same deal. But anyway, I did that, put it back into Procreate, and I like what it looks a lot more. So I'm going to export this, save image, and I just want to see the comparison between that and that. So I would like to show you the actual process on how I make these GIFs. So first off, I'm gonna get a new canvas. I'm gonna make it 2000 by 2000 pixels. And then I imported the photo of my sketchbook into Procreate. I'm gonna swipe 3 times to copy all. And then I'm going to go back into this one, paste it, and then I'm gonna focus on the GIF I would like to make. I will do mail time just so that I can show you the in-depth animation part of it, which I haven't done on this yet, but I've kind of done little GIF animations for videos before, so I kind of know how to do it. I just didn't know about the color grading and the way it translated to web technically. But I got that all figured out. So now that I'm gonna leave a little bit of space at the top because I know that I want it to open this way. So I'm gonna put it down here. I have it selected into my canvas, and then I'm going to turn down the opacity like to 47%, 50%, doesn't really matter, just so that you can still see it, but you can trace over. So I'm gonna make a new layer on top of that for the inking, yeah. I'm gonna be using this brush pack I got on Creative Market. I will leave it linked down below. You can use whatever you would like to. And you can also check out my Procreate brushes video where I talk about which Procreate brushes I use. You could also use the dry textures. This grain pen is really good, but I've just been liking this inker. Really doesn't matter, you could use any like of these ones. That part doesn't matter. So just use an inking pen. And I think I'm going to use a bit of a lighter line. I'm learning that GIFs have to be kind of like a brighter color and like a little bit more saturated so that they can show up on photos. If they're darker, they kind of blend into everything else. So it's not my preference, but I'm going to try that. I'm going to make a line kind of like a creamy color. And then I'm just, okay, I'm not going to do that actually. I'm going to make it brown, but then I'm going to turn it to a lighter color after I do all of this tracing. So I'm going to trace my drawing through the little seal right here. Get the little flaps, and then write mail time. I'm going really fast here just so that I can show you, but I also do want to do a good job on it, so excuse me if it's a little like confusing slash I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to both explain slash make it look good. And then I'm gonna do the little stars, which I realized in the other ones I like to have them be white, so I'm gonna fill them in. First I did the little outline and filled them in, but it didn't look as good, so I just draw them. Oop, and I have these little lines. I've noticed that the amount of detail does not really matter that much. I thought it would, but it hasn't really mattered, just so you know. And I might do like a little, one of these things. Okay, so once I do that, I'm gonna turn this layer down to around half as well, add a new layer on top, and begin tracing the same parts that I want to stay straight. But then for this flap, I'm gonna start lifting it. So I'm gonna make this seal go up a bit, and we'll see, hopefully it all looks cohesive enough. But wait, how do letters work? I think you have that like so. I'm so bad at this. Does that? Do the little stars. Retrace mail time. At this point I'm going to make that bottom layer, the sketch layer, not visible anymore, just because I don't really need it anymore, because I can go off of the layer I already drew. So when I'm tracing over, I just want the slightest variation. I don't want it to be perfect, that's why I'm tracing, so that it can move a little bit. I'm gonna make these go out the tiniest bit, so when like things happening, they're moving out. Well, no, not that big. There we go. And let's do another layer. Make the one we just drew less opaque. And let's see, I'm going to actually draw the last layer where I want the envelope to be open, and I want a little bit of like a letter peeking out. just so that I can know what I'm working towards. I think it makes sense if you think about it. I'm gonna move it a little bit so that I can get a better angle when I'm drawing. I hope this is all making sense, but I also gonna do that. Make the seal look like that. I don't think it needs to be absolutely perfect, just so you know. Yeah, so that's the final one with this little, with the stars. This is like a satanic star, whoa. And I want it by this point to have come back, so I don't want them to be in sync, the little rays. So now that I have, I'll turn the opacity down on this one and on this one. So it starts to get a little bit confusing at this point because you have a lot of lines going on. But I'm gonna make a layer in between these two, and I want to start doing the transitional layers to connect these two. Same deal with the sides of the envelope. This part's okay. And see, this one's lifting, so I want the seal probably to be kind of up here and a little, not like straight really. And I want the envelope to be lifting, like so, the flap. And there we go. So now I'm going to make that layer not visible, make this one less opaque, put a transition layer between those two, and keep going. This is pretty repetitive. I have to make a lot of layers to connect these. So I think I just want one more transitional layer between the two. I don't want to have it be super realistic, you know, and all of these layers. Okay, so that's a seal. And at this point, I want it to be kind of like flipping open, like so. And then here are the two letters. So what I want the letter to look like. So this is where I'm going to like check it out and play the little animation and see if it all makes sense. I go to the animated GIF. Okay, there we go. So we got it. Let's see, 6. So I really like that. I think that looks good. I'm a pro. What? I feel, okay, so one thing that we could do is duplicate this layer so that the animated GIF, that layer is longer. I'm going to add a layer below the very first layer. And I'm going to use a light cream color for this envelope. That's so cute. I mean, I'm so impressed so easily. The beauty of this is that, what color should we make the little stamp? Red or like green? What would green look like? Oh, that's so cute though. Okay, maybe I'll just do green. A lot of the theme of this is green. But the beauty of these gifts is that it doesn't have to be perfect. I realized that. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow just to create a little bit of interest. And I'm going to duplicate this layer and move it up to the next. I'm gonna move it up to the next so that I can still use the same colors for this this next layer. It's a little bit hard to explain. I think you can understand what I'm doing just by looking at it and what I'm doing. But I'm very sorry for being a little bit ineloquent and not knowing how to explain what I'm doing, but I think you understand the basic idea. I'm gonna duplicate this layer, move it up. And continue with these colors. Duplicate. Add to the layer on top. Let's trace. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. We're getting somewhere. Duplicate. Add it to the last layer. Simple, easy to do. So our letter is done. Now, I'm going to have to change the color of the line art. So we're gonna have to alpha lock that. Alpha lock all of the line art so that we can go in and manually change the colors. So I'm gonna go in with a hard brush and use a kind of like this, maybe yeah, a yellowish, but maybe not so much yellowish and more of a tan color. It kind of clashes with that green a little bit, so what I might probably have to do is go in and change that green, but I do like this tan color for the line art. It's a little whole mail time thing. I'm gonna make sure it's white for every layer. We have all of this done. So the fun part is you're going to have to duplicate all of these layers and then merge them. So essentially, I could merge the ink layer down to the fill layer, this one to this one, this one to this one, this one to this one, this one to this one. The only problem with that is if you merge them, you don't have a backup. So if you want to change anything later, your line art and your fill are merged. So the very smart thing to do is to duplicate everything and then merge those ones down. So you still have these little buffer layers if you don't like what you merged. What? What are you? No, get off! So essentially, you are left with a cute little animation. It works. It works. But remember how we talked about how we wanted this one to stop at the top? We'll get there. Now I'm going to do that painstaking thing of taking every single one of these layers, the ones that have been merged. I'm going to take them into Lightroom and apply a filter to them, and then take them back into Procreate. I grouped all of the layers that I'm not going to be using. I just grouped those so that they can be out of the way. But what I'm gonna do now is export each individual frame as a PNG to my laptop. The reason that you want to export these as a PNG is so that you can still save the transparency. The point of the GIF is so that it can be floating, you know, with a transparent background. You don't want to export as a JPEG because it's just going to add a background color, and that's not what you want. So export as a PNG with a background layer not selected, so there's transparency. And then I'm just going to quickly edit these in Lightroom. There is nothing fancy about what I'm doing. I will also make a video about my whole Lightroom editing process slash giving you guys the presets that I usually use. But that's not anything like crazy fancy. All I'm doing is taking these images into Lightroom, individually editing them, exporting them back into PNGs, airdropping them back into the iPad, and importing every single one of those images back into Procreate. We'll cut to that now. Look at him. Look at the little fuzzy. Look at the little guy. He just had a stroke. He saw a bug, so he's prowling now. But all of these have been imported into Procreate again. So these were the originals, and this is the edit. Just a little bit lighter, just a little bit more creamy, in line with everything else. And what I'm going to do is just turn them off of visible and go into each of these new edited panels, copy all, paste. So now that we have all of these inserted images, remember how we wanted to duplicate that very last one 3 times? That's what I did. Let's see what this all looks like. Whoop, and Procreate crashed. Yes, let's see what this all looks like as an animated GIF. The problem with it is that when you get to mail time, this doesn't all move anymore, this bottom part. However, I might just take one out, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna change that up. I changed from max resolution to web ready. I don't know why, but I realized there was a difference when I tested it on my stories. The max resolution like stretched it out, the web ready didn't. So we're done. We export. Just save the image. And there it is. So what I'm going to do is actually send it to my phone. And what you can do when you have to, like, if you want to use your GIF, you go to copy photo, you have your wonderful photo, and then you can just paste it. So that's your GIF. So 5 million years later, here I am. I finished all of them. I made 8 in total, and that was easier than I thought it was going to be. At the beginning, there was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out how they would best look. I think the colors were the thing that really tripped me up the most, because I'm very used to working with a dark color palette, and the very first ones I made 2 that I used like a darker brown color palette, and it did not really show up well on photos or like stories, so I had to readapt and like lighten everything up, make all the line art a lot lighter. And the most time-consuming part, I think, was just duplicating everything and then putting it into Lightroom, editing it, bringing it back, and then copying back into the original file, like what I was working in. it was just tedious, if that makes sense. It was definitely not hard, and if you are interested in doing it yourself, I recommend it. I thought it was really fun, and especially if you're more into graphic design or type oriented, and so even if like illustration isn't your strong suit, I know I went very illustrative with mine, and that's just my whole branding is very fairy tale illustrative, you know, like girly romantic. If you have an idea, go for it. The only thing that I noticed is to upload them to Giphy. For people to be able to search them in the search bar, you have to be an approved artist or brand on Giphy. So I applied to be an artist. We'll see. Hopefully they get back to me and approve me. Said you have to have 5 to 10 like good gifts for them to check you out and approve you. So I have 8. So I think we're like right in the middle. I don't know. I really hope they get approved. I worked hard on them, and I'd really like to use them day to day whenever I do post stories, but I'm very proud of them. Especially, I'm not gonna lie, I was not 100% sure about how the hand one was gonna turn out. I really didn't know that if I did the whole thing, if I did the little turnaround, if it was gonna look good or not. And I think it looks really cute. When I was doing it, I kind of lifted the type as the hand was moving, so it's like kind of pulling up. I don't know, I think it turned out pretty cute, and I would definitely like to make more in the future. I'm saying the word I a lot. It's late, and I have to do Patreon stuff. But I realized I didn't like have an outro, so I wanted to say bye. But I hope this like made sense, and you know, I'm like teaching something I just learned myself, but I think like we can learn together in the process, and you can see the whole trial and error. But I thought it was really fun. Why does he not come when I want him, but he comes when I don't want him? My buddy. I appreciate you watching and being here with me, and like we learning together. Hopefully if you make anything, let me know. Thank you so much again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video, and if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I would appreciate it. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things with YouTube and trying to get better, so yeah. Constructive criticism appreciated. Last thing, I get a lot of comments about people saying that they thought I stopped uploading, which is not true. I have been regularly uploading, not as often as I used to do that every week, but I have been regularly uploading for the past couple of months. So if you haven't been seeing my videos, go catch up and watch them. Or turn on notifications so that you can know when I do post new videos. But bye!